All right, so while we were busy with those elephants this morning, Aubrey from Djuma found our lions that we were looking for yesterday afternoon. They've popped out of Biffle's Hook on our northern boundary here and are busy, very sleepy inside of a miter drain. Now, if we sit around and wait for a little while, we might get some action. But they look pretty tired from their mating. Now, remember, they don't hunt while they're mating in general. All they do is mate, and they do this for 4 or 5 days in a row. And they mate roughly every 15 to 20 minutes, and it lasts for about 45 seconds. And that dam that we are at just now with the elephants, this is where they were a few days ago. So they should be coming towards the end of their mating cycle. They probably have 1 day, maybe 2 days left. Oh, yes. Sorry, I totally forgot. With all those beautiful elephants, I totally forgot about the surprise. Yes, this is our surprise. Definitely our surprise. Guys, again, we don't get to see lions every day on Djuma. We get lions a lot in the Mara, but we don't get to see them every day on Djuma, so it's nice to get them. Scarlet, if I remember correctly, this female was on quarantine with that zebra kill about 5 days ago, maybe 6 days ago. And then when they finished that, they were at Galago Pan for a night. And then the next morning, sorry guys, this is that vehicle we keep having run-ins with. I'm so sorry. They'll be past us just now and then we can carry on. It's been an interesting morning, to say the least, with some of our elephant interactions and other things. So I apologize profusely for any of that. We will carry on just now. So Scarlett, I'm sorry for interrupting and answering your question there. So I believe, with everything being said, they're probably on day 4 at the moment. That would be my guess. So in general, when we're driving out and about, all of the other vehicles that we meet and the guides that we meet are super relaxed and are very good with us. And for some reason this morning, we're just having some interesting scenarios there. Oh well, carry on. Lions, yay. This boy is a very nice specimen of a male lion. I enjoy him. The Birmingham males are big boys. Those Burmese are nice, but they're not the largest lions I've ever seen. However, for the age that they are, so they're going to be 6 in March, I believe. For the age that they are, their manes are impressive. Highly, highly, highly impressive. It just means that they've had a lot of good testosterone coming through and doing well with their hunting as well as their territories. We couldn't see it from where we are, but there was an impala that walked across the road, maybe 60 meters from these lions. These lions had no idea that impala was there, and the impala didn't see the lions either. It does happen from time to time. So Tags, you're curious to know if these two will go off and have something to eat together. So Tags, earlier we were chatting about the fact that when they're mating, they don't hunt. In general, they tend to just mate for the 4 or 5 days. And then once they're done, they break apart. She'll go back to her pride, and he'll either go off on his own or go and try and find his brothers. Every now and then, I've seen a mating pair breaking apart and then hunting together, or stopping their mating and hunting, but it's very rare. Sorry, we've got another vehicle joining us. Ravinda, you're curious to know if male lions ever stay with the pride after mating. So, Ravinda, your question, the answer is yes and no. So the pride's not here. They were with us the other day, a little farther off, but they've moved on. There's too much aggression and emotions that are testosterone and pheromones and things that are going on, so they tend to remove themselves. So when he's done mating with her, that's 4 or 5 days where he's been away from marking his territory and away from his coalition. So yes, he could go back to the pride with her if he felt like it, but in general, because he's been away from his other duties for so long, he also has other females that he needs to keep track of, that he'll go off and find his brothers and mark territory and go and check on his other females. So we've been with them for, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. I think in the next sort of 5 to 10 minutes, we might get a little bit of action. But for now, they're very, very, very lazy, doing what lions do. Now, mating lions are one of the few times where you'll see them moving around in the heat of the day, and I mean the proper heat of the middle of the day, when they should be resting. All right, while we're waiting for these lions to do their mating process for us, let's head on over to Scott, who's on bushwalk, and see what he's up to. We are indeed still with our lions here in the Sabi Sands, and we just wanted to point out while we're here not only her gorgeous, gorgeous eye, because we're actually parked a little bit closer now and we can zoom in, but the fact that these two lions have been the exception rather than the rule, and it looks like they've had a snack in the meantime since we've seen them. So for me, that means that the rest of the pride has probably killed something not far from here, and then they were just sort of close enough to indulge. So again, remember, it's not the norm, but it does happen from time to time, as we talked about earlier. We can just see that their bellies are a little bit more full. Ravinda, you're curious to know if a nomadic lion will challenge this male. So Ravinda, this male here is part of a coalition of 4 brothers together. The only reason why the other brothers aren't here is because this one's busy mating. So if a nomadic male were to come in, he would be challenging all 4 of them. So the 4 brothers are not always consistently together, but they're together enough that one nomadic male on his own would have a very, very hard time with a challenge like that. And nomadic males will come through this area. It does happen, but they're also going to hear the 4 Birmingham males roaring together as a coalition. So they might decide to avoid the area. But also, that being said, we don't always have them here with us on Djuma. Because they move around. So if a nomadic male came through, because sometimes we go weeks without having the Birmingham males here, and in those interims it'll rain and then their scent will be washed away. If a nomadic male were to come through, he might decide that this is an area that he wants to set up camp and stick around. And then the next time the 4 Burmese were to come through, you might end up with a scenario where there would be a little bit of an aggressive interaction, but one male against 4 would definitely not win. Jeff, that's a really great question. Jeff, you wanted to know, how does the coalition decide who will mate with her? Jeff, to be honest with you, I don't know. And the reason why I'm going to say I don't know is I've seen so many different scenarios within a coalition, either a pair or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. And I think it's some sort of internal message or clock that they have within each other. So the female will go into estrus, and I've seen the females go into estrus and have the brother of a male, and like he's a skinny little thing. You didn't think he would be the one that would mate, and he's the one that's mated with her and then her sister after that, and the other male's just gone off and defended territory and marked. So Jeff, I don't actually know, and I think there's probably a lot of theories out there. I've heard some of those theories before, but I don't think that they've actually hit it on the nose yet, and I think we'd be hard pressed to get a definitive answer. It could also just be that he's the one that picked up on her estrus scent first. That to me would be the most likely scenario of any of the scenarios that I've heard. Ryan, you'd like to know if a lioness ever doesn't get pregnant after mating. Ryan, I'm sure it happens. I personally haven't seen it happen, but I'm sure it does happen. You will have scenarios where there will be a sterile female, or an older female sometimes has trouble taking. But in my experiences, I haven't run into it yet. But I'm sure it happens from time to time. She's slowly waking up. Ed, interesting question. You'd like to know how long a lion's claws get. Ed, that's also a question I don't have a definitive answer for you. Most of the time, they're not protracted. There, she's up. But I would guesstimate when they're fully out, they're probably about 2 centimeters, if not maybe a titch longer. Would be my guesstimate. All right, so remember, as lions start moving, they yawn, they stretch, and they scratch themselves and move around, so they're going to get moving just now. Sorry, Nikki, I didn't hear which viewer, but I did hear that the question was that what are those marks on the back of her neck? They've been around for a while. Inda. So, Inda, you're curious to know what those marks are there. Inda, we were chatting about it a couple of days ago, and it is interesting because some of them have been there for quite a while, and then some of them are going to be new. It comes a bit from mating. So when they mate, the male will grab the back of her neck there. Sometimes some of those are going to come from being aggressive at kills with her pride members. So those are going to be your main 2 instances for those marks on the back of the neck. But the ones that you're seeing now, the really sort of fresh ones that are poking out, are from the mating that's been happening. That tongue is amazing. A lion's tongue feels like wet sandpaper. Wet, spongy sandpaper. It's incredible. Okay, Amber Eyes. There's your beautiful yawn. Now remember, female lions and female leopards instigate the mating process. The males do not. So when she's done grooming herself and making herself look pretty, she'll rub her lady parts in his face, and then he knows, okay, it's time. If any of you joined us the other day when Vildy and I were at Biffleshoek Dam, and he kept trying to instigate before she was ready, and she was turning around and smacking him and growling at him, she just wasn't happy, and then she would make him wait. And I do personally think she prolongs her grooming period right now just because she can, because she knows exactly what he's waiting for. Sorry, guys, I'm losing my voice a little bit. Hopefully that will help. Sorry, madam. And he's doing his best to be as submissive as possible, so lying on his flat side. And I'm sure he's watching her. But he's also doing his best not to move too much. He doesn't want to do anything that will make her change her mind. Now, she might just decide that she's groomed and lie back down. She might decide that she's hot and get up and just move into the shade. But usually, when she's in heat like she is now, just any of that movement of getting up will elicit a response of a mating period. And then she'll go into the shade and then lie down. She's got a very strict internal biological need at the moment. All right, while we're waiting for her to get up, which should be in the next few minutes, let's head on over to Scotty D on Bushwalk, who has some poo he would like to show you. All right, everybody, they're up a little bit. I'm just trying to move to see if we can catch them in the act. And it looks like, oh, really? Amber Eyes, you are the worst lioness to predict whether or not you're going to mate. I swear she does this on purpose. That whole movement we just saw there was perfect. Any other lioness, that would have resulted in a mating. I'm so sorry, everybody. Scotty, I'm sorry for pulling you away. I'm not going to try and predict this female anymore. I am just going to move the car around so we can see a little bit better. I don't know what she's doing or what she's thinking. I'm sorry, everyone. Cheeky, cheeky, cheeky lions. So she was doing something similar the other day with us at the dam, but everything she was just doing now should have resulted in the actual mate. And I wonder, just let me know, Vildy, when you're happy. I wonder if maybe the estrus cycle that she's having is just not a full estrus cycle. It's possible, or if it's just so far towards the end of the mate that she's really just not interested and he's still interested. It's entirely possible. But we did get to see them move a little bit. You got to see their size. That's pretty good. And now this is what they're going to do for probably the next 15 or 20 minutes, is sleeping in the shade here. All right, so let's head on up to Taylor, who I hope is still with her lions in their trees. That's very interesting behavior as well. And we will wait around a little while longer and see if maybe we get any action this side.